I've now set the control channel to 5 bar. The system is approaching it. Now is a good time to actually check all the connections in your system and see whether you see any leaks. For that, it is good to place all of the parts on paper towels, because they allow you to see quite easily if there is any openings. The manifolds themselves, if you get them assembled, don't disassemble them, because when they are assembled, it should be tight. There should be no, and the more often you disassemble them and reassemble them, the higher is the probability, the likelihood that you introduce leaks into the system. So you don't need to disassemble these. The manifolds should be as one, come in one piece. You just connect the peripherals to it, the capillaries and the syringes. Okay, so I cannot see any leaks here. Let's check the cell itself. You might want to check down here, of course, if there's any fluid coming out between the bottom platen and the bottom mushroom. There I cannot see anything. That connection here seems to be tight. That connection here seems to be tight. That up here is tight. And now my porphyry pressure circuit is still open. If the jacket was broken at this stage, then I would have fluid essentially seep through the jacket and eventually come out here. We can check at the bottom. We can disconnect the pore fluid pressure circuit here and check whether there's any fluid coming out. And there isn't. So my jacket is also tight. That's pretty good. I can also now see that the pump itself, the syringe, changes color between blue and orange. Blue indicates a forward motion, orange indicates a backward motion. That means, and since there is sort of stabilizing itself, it means that it's actually, there's no major leak at least. So if there was a major leak anywhere, then it would keep pushing fluid into system to sustain the pressure that I have asked it to reach. Now we can slowly increase that here, the target pressure to say 10 bar. Now it keeps pushing. We can now also see a response in the pressure gauge here. So that's slowly building up. This is not a super high precision pressure gauge. This is really only to give you an assessment of what the pressure in the cell is when that valve is closed. I think in the final version of these manifolds there will be gauges on both sides, so that you can, even independently of the pressure gauge in the syringe pump which sits in here, you can see what the pressure in the system is. No? Okay, we're now 10 bar, still tight, and by now the confining pressure will have pressed the silicone tube so hard against the pistons that we don't necessarily expect any more leaks. It's quite important that you, when you then increase the pore fluid pressure in the system also, that of course you always keep the pore fluid pressure below the confining pressure, otherwise you will blow your jacket off the sample.